Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Commanding General, Major General John P. Johnson, and the Post Sergeant Major, Command Sergeant Major Lamont Christian, welcome to the United States Army Training Center and Fort Jackson for the graduation of the 3rd Battalion, 60th Infantry Regiment, 193rd Infantry Brigade. Please stand for the invocation given by Chaplain Shields.
Good morning. They look good, don't they? All right, we got a lot to be thankful for, so let's kick things off by talking to God in heaven. Dear Lord of heaven, God of the resurrection, we thank you for the glorious day that you blessed us with. This is the day that was birthed months ago in the hearts and minds of these young men and women. They, their parents, their siblings, their spouse, children, friends, they've all dreamed about what April 27th would look like and feel like, and here it is. This is the day that all of these young soldiers will remember until their dying breath. And Lord, as the winds of war and the global threat of terrorism and the rantings of madmen fill the headlines of our news feeds, America can rest assured because another 700 of her best sons and daughters have answered the call and been trained and equipped to deploy to the ends of the earth to enact violence on bad people with bad intentions. It is these young men and women in uniform who stand tall and proud behind me who will place the boot of freedom on the neck of tyranny and crush its head like a sledgehammer on a glass ball if called to do so. So now, Lord, bless these families in the stands and give them a steadfast resolve to weather the uncertain days of loving an American soldier. Fill their hearts with godly pride as they witness the official welcoming of their loved one into our beloved profession of arms. Do this, Lord, for your glory and our good, and we all say together, amen.
Please be seated. The purpose of today's ceremony is to recognize the commitment of the men and women you see standing in formation before you today who have chosen to serve this country as soldiers. This review is the last official formation of the training cycle. Not everyone successfully completes this difficult period of training, but those in formation today represent disciplined, motivated, physically fit soldiers who exemplify the Army's 7 core values: loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. To the parents, families, and friends of these soldiers, Fort Jackson extends a very warm and sincere welcome. Please direct your attention to the left of the formation. The units marching today from your left to right are the 282nd Army Band under the command of Chief Warrant Officer II Thomas W. Jackson Jr. Graduating soldiers from Companies A and B, the Battalion Color Guard, and graduating soldiers from Companies C, D, and E. Identified by their distinctive headgear are the drill sergeants. These dedicated non-commissioned officers form the backbone of the Army's training center system. Selected on a basis of professional competence, leadership ability, and years of service, these men and women undergo intensive training to earn the right to wear the distinctive hat and insignia. The commander of troops for today's ceremony is Major Stephen R. McKinney, the executive officer for the 3rd Battalion, 60th Infantry Regiment. He and the battalion staff are positioned on the field. The reviewing officer for today's graduation is the commander of the 3rd Battalion, 60th Infantry Regiment, Lieutenant Colonel Adam J. Lewis. On his left is Command Sergeant Major Craig Nettles, the senior non-commissioned officer, master trainer, and principal advisor to the commander. The commander of troops will now bring forward the colors and persons to be honored. It is appropriate for soldiers not in uniform and all armed forces veterans to salute the American flag. We ask our civilian guests to please remove your headgear and place your right hand over your heart as our national anthem is played. Please be seated.
This thing's too high, I can't open it. Right flank.
Lieutenant Colonel Lewis and Command Sergeant Major Nettles will now present the awards. The outstanding Drill Sergeant of the Cycle for Company A is Drill Sergeant Russell Everett from Tucson, Arizona. The Soldier Leader of the Cycle for Company A is PFC Mateo Robinson from Fountain, Colorado. The Soldier of the Cycle from Company A is PFC Narda Hernandez from Keysby, New Jersey. The outstanding Drill Sergeant of the Cycle for Company B is Drill Sergeant Clayton Jennings from Camden, New Jersey. The Soldier Leader of the Cycle for Company B is PFC Sarah Sanchez from Corpus Christi, Texas. The Soldier of the Cycle for Company B is Specialist Jason Kim from Queens, New York. The outstanding Drill Sergeant of the Cycle for Company C is Drill Sergeant Eugene Royer from Kennesaw, Georgia. The Soldier Leader of the Cycle for Company C is Specialist Macy Helgenberger from Fort Collins, Colorado. The Soldier of the Cycle for Company C is Private Gage Hines from Fletcher, North Carolina. The outstanding drill sergeant of the cycle for Company D is Drill Sergeant Lance Israel from Solon, North Dakota. The soldier leader of the cycle for Company D is Private Kenneth Weaver from Park Rapids, Minnesota. The soldier of the cycle for Company D is PV2 Jeanette Abril from Cuenca, Ecuador. The outstanding drill sergeant of the cycle for Company E is Drill Sergeant Joseph McDonald from Placerville, California. The soldier leader of the cycle from Company E is PV2 Matthew Padron from Houston, Texas. The soldier of the cycle for Company E is PV2 Reginald Levins from Birmingham, Alabama. Ladies and gentlemen, the commander of the 3rd Battalion, 60th Infantry Regiment, Lieutenant Colonel Adam Lewis.
Good morning. Major General Johnson, Colonel Shade, Colonel Katona, Command Sergeant Major Christian, Command Sergeant Major Daly, distinguished guests, families and friends of America's newest soldiers, thank you for attending today's graduation ceremony. I would like to thank all of you for taking the time to travel here today and join us in honoring and celebrating the accomplishments of your soldiers, America's volunteers, America's newest defenders of freedom. The soldiers in front of you today joined for a variety of reasons. Some likely for adventure, others out of a sense of duty. Some wanted to be part of something bigger than themselves. Some might have been seeking a different purpose or another direction in life. But for many, they joined because of family tradition. But regardless of the circumstances, they all converged here on Fort Jackson in February for the opportunity to demonstrate they had what it takes to become a soldier. They now join the ranks of military members past and present. I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize some of those folks. All of our military veterans, if you're present here today, if you're a veteran, would you please stand and allow us to thank you as well? All veterans, please stand. Ladies and gentlemen, please join in a round of applause. Now, if you would, please allow me just a moment to describe to you the journey the soldiers in front of you have taken over their 10 weeks of training. These soldiers arrived in late February, and as their buses pulled up and these soldiers disembarked, they were greeted by their company's drill sergeants. These drill sergeants, highly trained professional non-commissioned officers, immediately introduced these former civilians to several concepts like leader-assisted motivation, moving with a purpose, military authority, attention to detail, and teamwork. Their first night was likely a little bit of a culture shock. The soldiers in front of you learned that 50 people with only 14 shower stalls can easily shower in just 30 minutes. This leaves plenty of time, a whole additional 30 minutes, to clean their latrine, organize their wall lockers, and make their bays shine. It's about motivation, moving with a purpose, attention to detail, teamwork. After a nice, relaxing first night's sleep, just kidding. It probably wasn't really that relaxing. These former civilians were not so calmly awoken the next morning by their drill sergeant. By 5:30 a.m., they were conducting physical training on the battalion PT field. And many were probably thinking, I can't wait until the weekend to sleep in. Well, shortly thereafter, they learned that Saturday, well, looks a lot like Friday. and every other weekday before that. However, on Sunday, they did receive a little extra rest and were allowed to sleep in until 6 a.m. With these basic building blocks in place, the drill sergeants were able to transform over 700 civilians into the soldiers standing before you today. These soldiers learned and now embody the Army values: loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. Within the first week, they'd rappelled off a 40-foot tower. They were issued a weapon. They learned how to march. Shortly thereafter, they gained trust in their military equipment by wearing their protective mask in a gas chamber filled with CS gas. Then, they really learned to trust their equipment when they were told, while still in the gas-filled chamber, to take their masks off. They spent 2 weeks learning how to accurately fire their weapon, gaining confidence in their training, their leaders, and themselves. They learned first aid, fighting techniques, a new way to say their ABCs, and a new way to count. Then we tested them to see who retained the training. And on their own, with no outside help, and only their military equipment, each of them were forced to complete a series of challenging, yet critical Army tasks. This earned these soldiers the right to participate in basic combat training's culminating field exercise, known as Victory Forge. Here, in an austere environment with very little sleep, plenty of dirt, these soldiers dug fighting positions and conducted patrols, working on critical skills they will need in their military profession. They endured simulated enemy weapons, chemical, and artillery attacks. Tough conditions, forcing them to rely on their training, their teammates, and their equipment. Exhausted, dirty, hungry, and under cover of darkness, each of these soldiers completed a 10-mile foot march back to our battalion, completing their training and earning them the title of American Soldier. I'll close by highlighting how proud I am of your soldiers here today. I know I speak for all of the 360 infantry drill sergeants, cadre, and leaders in saying, River Raiders, you've done well. Hold your heads high and carry this momentum forward through AIT into your assigned units. Our Army needs you, trained and ready. Trust your leaders, stay fit, stay proficient in your tasks and drills, be resilient, and most importantly, take care of your buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, the Army's newest soldiers, the 3rd Battalion, 60th Infantry Regiment, the River Raiders.
To the men and women on the field, you have become what you set out to be, a soldier in the United States Army. The Soldier's Creed is your declaration of unshakable commitment to the ideals upon which this nation was founded. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as PFC Robinson leads the soldiers standing before you in reciting the Soldier's Creed.
I will
Please be seated.
River Raider, sir! River Raider. Pass in review!
In consideration of those around you, we ask that you please remain seated and in the bleachers until all soldiers have passed the reviewing stand and the conclusion of the ceremony is announced. Once the ceremony has concluded, family members of awardees, please meet your soldiers under the canopy to the left of the bleachers. All other family members and friends, please meet your soldiers to the far right of the bleachers at the end of the parade field. You are reminded that as you are approached by the American flag, it is appropriate to rise and remain standing until it has passed to your right. Passing the reviewing stand is the Commander of Troops, Major Stephen R. McKinney, and the battalion staff. The 282nd Army Band, commanded by Chief Warrant Officer 2, Thomas W. Jackson Jr. The drum major is Sergeant First Class Jessica Smith. Company A is commanded by Captain Joseph Borndran from Queens, New York. First platoon is led by Drill Sergeant Willie Miller from Jacksonville, Florida. Second platoon is led by Drill Sergeant Keela Burks from Mansfield, Texas. platoon is led by Drill Sergeant Jacob Hinson from Nederland, Texas. 4th platoon is led by Drill Sergeant Keith Frazier from Salters, South Carolina. In the rear of the formation is 1st Sergeant Sine Hutchinson from San Antonio, Texas. Company D is commanded by Captain Richard Bradley from Fayetteville, North Carolina. 1st platoon is led by Drill Sergeant Kyle Martin from Marshall, Virginia. 2nd platoon is led by Drill Sergeant Hilton from Compton, California. 3rd platoon is led by Drill Sergeant Michael Euquist from Elgin, Illinois. 4th platoon is led by Drill Sergeant Eddie Gonzalo from Velasco, Texas. In the rear of the formation is 1st Sergeant Daniel Rhodes from Woburn, Massachusetts. Ladies and gentlemen, again, as you are approached by the American flag, it is appropriate to rise and remain standing until it is passed to your right. Company C is commanded by Captain Mitchell Bliley from Yingling, Pennsylvania. 1st platoon is led by Drill Sergeant Mitchell Knox from Paris, California. 2nd platoon is led by Drill Sergeant Kevin Gramillon from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. 3rd platoon is led by Drill Sergeant Wilcox Miner from Port Palau. 4th platoon is led by Drill Sergeant Laura Navarez from Chicago, Illinois. In the rear of the formation is 1st Sergeant Michael Randolph from Dickinson, Alabama. Company D is commanded by Captain Dustin West from Louisville, Kentucky. 1st platoon is led by Drill Sergeant James Bradshaw from Chicago, Illinois. 2nd platoon is led by Drill Sergeant Michael Wagner from Bremerton, Washington. 3rd platoon is led by Drill Sergeant James Smithson from Milwaukee, Oregon. 4th platoon is led by Drill Sergeant James Gibson from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. In the rear of the formation is 1st Sergeant John Lewis from Birmingham, Alabama. Company E is commanded by Captain Sean Brandon from Riverside, California. 1st platoon is led by Drill Sergeant David Romeo from Wilmette, Illinois. 2nd platoon is led by Drill Sergeant Dexter Walter from Hampton, Arizona. 3rd platoon is led by Drill Sergeant Mark Poiser from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. 4th platoon is led by Drill Sergeant Clyde Tyner from Charlotte, North Carolina. In the rear of the formation is 1st Sergeant Calvin Booth from Washington, D.C. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the Army Song and remain in the bleachers until the conclusion of the ceremony is announced. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. Family members of awardees, please meet your soldier under the tents to your left. All other family and friends, please meet your soldier at the far right of the bleachers at the end of the parade field. Please remember to take all trash and personal items with you as you exit. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a safe journey home. Victory starts here.